Hi everyone, my name is Bahar, and I'm going to be doing the Outsiders Chapter 7 through 12 lesson. So, first, let's go into some vocabulary. Our first word is JD, or James Dean. In the Outsiders, several characters call themselves a JD, or talk about a JD model, or JD films. JD stands for James Dean. Like Paul Newman, James Dean was a famous American actor known for playing rebel roles like main characters and love interests who were tough and cool. James Dean was more famous than Paul Newman and is seen as a cultural icon of his time. Our next word is a hoodlum or a hood. A hoodlum is a person who engages in crime and violence, especially one that is in a gang. So let's go over the summaries from chapters 7 through 12. The first two, chapters 7 and 8. In chapter 7, Ponyboy returns from the hospital to Derry and Soda Pop, and he learns that he may be legally taken away from Derry's custody. This means that the law would not consider Derry a good enough caretaker for a child like Ponyboy, and that Ponyboy and Soda Pop may go to a boys' home for boys without parents. He later hangs out with Two-Bit and encounters a group of Socs. Ponyboy talks with Randy, and they talk about Bob's death and what it means to be a greaser or a Soc. In chapter 8, Ponyboy and Two-Bit go to visit Johnny in the hospital, where they run into Dallas. Dallas was with Tim Shepard. Ponyboy also talks to Cherry. In chapter 9, most of the chapter involves the Rumble, where Ponyboy and his friends fight alongside Tim Shepard's gang against the Socs. Afterwards, Dally and him run to the hospital and witness Johnny die. In chapter 10, a stranger gives Ponyboy a ride home where he meets with Derry and Soda Pop. They find Dally in a vacant parking lot, running from the police. Dally raises an unloaded gun, and the police, not knowing it wasn't loaded, kill him. Ponyboy and his families return home to process everything that has happened. In chapter 11, Ponyboy stays at home during this chapter and thinks about Bob's death and who he was as a person. He also gets a visit from Randy, who has decided to make peace between the two groups. In chapter 12, a court hearing is held for Ponyboy regarding the murder of Bob. The next day, Ponyboy, Steve, and Two-Bit go to the grocery store where Ponyboy has an unexpected reaction to the Socs threatening him. So now that we have finished chapters 7 through 12, let's go through some discussion questions about it. So our first question is, why does Randy decide not to fight in the Rumble? And why does Ponyboy describe Randy as old in the way that Dallas was old? So we can remember that Randy says that greasers will be greasers and Socs will be Socs. Essentially, what Randy is saying is that this Rumble, despite who will win, will not solve the conflict between the Socs and the greasers. The Socs and the greasers will always have this conflict unless it is peacefully solved between each individual. Even if greasers win or Socs win, both sides will still dislike each other greatly. And so Randy decides that fighting in the Rumble has no point, and so he pulls out. What do Randy and Ponyboy conclude about what it means to be a Soch or a Greaser? Why does Ponyboy think those labels are arbitrary? Randy and Ponyboy see that being a Soch or a Greaser doesn't really make a difference in who the person is. Both Soches and Greasers are people who experience problems, families, dreams, and similar experiences to each other. Ponyboy thinks these labels are arbitrary, which means to be useless, because they don't really change anything about the person. Soches and Greasers are more alike than people think. Our third discussion question is, what does Ponyboy mean when he tells Cherry that you can see the sunset from the west side real good? 2. Essentially, Ponyboy is saying that despite being a Greaser or a Soch, we still have the same experiences. The sunset symbolizes experiences that both the Soches and Greasers have. We know that both Soches and Greasers see the same sunset every night, and so symbolically, they have the same experiences and problems and ways of life. Our fourth question is, when Ponyboy goes to the Rumble, he sees Tim Shepard and his gang, the Broomley Boys. Even though they are both gangs, why does Ponyboy say that the Broomley Boys are hoods that are worse than him and his friends? What makes the Broomley Boys different from them? So, Ponyboy says that Tim Shepard's gang is much more structured and most of them carry weapons, while Ponyboy and his friends are not like that. Basically, they don't plan on staying greasers. They don't plan on being violent or participating in fights. Ponyboy says that hoods are people who stay and get worse as they get older. And that's what makes him and his friends, different from the Broomley Boys, who he says are hoods. Before the Rumble, Soda Pop says he is a greaser, a JD, and a hood. He blackens the name of our fair city, a menace to society. Steve continues this saying that the greasers are victims of the environment, underprivileged, rotten, no-count hoods. And Derry finishes the chant off saying they are juvenile delinquents. How does this chant demonstrate how society views greasers and how greasers feel about how society views them? Are these statements true? Soda Pop is describing himself as how society sees him. Society sees greasers as hoodlums, menaces to society, rotten, and no-count hoods. They are juvenile delinquents. Obviously, they don't like the way that society sees them because these statements are not true. Greasers are not necessarily menaces to society. They are not rotten. They all have their own problems and they all are getting through them. And yes, because they are a little underprivileged. So we see that the way that Soda Pop is describing himself before the fight is just the way that society sees them stereotypically, not in the true fashion. Our next question. After the Rumble, Dally and Ponyboy run to the hospital to see Johnny. What is the meaning of Johnny's last words, "Stay gold, Ponyboy, stay gold"? So let's go back to the poem where Johnny is reciting from. It's called Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. Robert Frost is saying in this poem that beautiful things or things that we find kind and beautiful and nice doesn't always stay. He uses nature as the symbol, like flowers during springtime. That is the gold that cannot stay. We know in fall, flowers and trees start turning yellow and leaves fall. And then in winter, there are no more flowers or green trees to see. And that is why nothing gold can stay. When Johnny says, "Stay gold, pony boy, stay gold," he is saying that he doesn't want Pony Boy to change. Pony Boy's commitment to his goals, his dreams, and his personality is something Johnny that had looked up to. And he doesn't want Pony Boy to change. He wants Pony Boy to stay gold and stay the way he is now. And our last discussion question. After Johnny's death, Dally willingly put himself in a dangerous situation where he raises a bluff, an unloaded gun, in front of the police. This results in the police killing him. Pony Boy says that the newspapers will not praise Dally like they praised him and Johnny for saving the children from the fire, despite Dally having helped them save the kids. Pony Boy says the socias and the newspapers will think Dally died a hoodlum, who is just as bad as Tim Shepard. But he says Dally died gallant, like a hero. Do you think Dally died a hero or a hoodlum, and why? Because this question is more an opinion-based question, you can think about this on your own. How do you think the way Dally died and his behavior throughout the book represent him as a hero or a hoodlum? Oh, one more discussion question. Throughout these chapters of the book, Pony Boy meets with the different characters and comes to the conclusion that there is no use in fighting, and that it only results in negative outcomes for both sides. He also comes to the conclusion that socias and greasers should not view each other like they do. How does this contribute to the theme in The Outsiders? So, one of the main themes in The Outsiders is the bridge between the rich and the poor, or the greasers and the socias. When Pony Boy finally realizes that fighting between them, the two gangs or socias and greasers, has no result, and that socias and greasers are both just people with the same experiences in life, he is creating a bridge between the two worlds, the bridge between the rich and the poor. And so once he made this conclusion, he has developed the theme that both socias and greasers are the same. There is a connection between them. So now let's go over some figurative language. Figurative language is a type of language that authors use to emphasize and accentuate the meaning of their sentence, the meaning of their paragraph. They use it to bolden imagery and further the imagination of the reader. So, one example of figurative language, or two examples, is similes and metaphors. Similes are a way of describing something by comparing it to something else using like or as. For example, I looked fearfully over my shoulder, and there was Two-Bit, grinning like a Chessy cat. So, if you can remember, a Chessy cat is a character from the cartoon Alice in Wonderland who is known for his big smile. In this sentence, Two-Bit's grin is compared using like to the grin of a Chessy cat. Metaphors are comparisons which are not literally true, and they don't use like or as. For example, life was one big joke to Two-Bit. In this sentence, we see life is directly compared to a big joke, which isn't literally true. And we see that like and as are not used in this sentence. Another type of figurative language is personification. Personification attributes human qualities to non-human things, such as animals and inanimate objects. For example, the trees danced in the wind. So, the trees are shown as dancing to describe how they move. We know that a tree cannot literally dance. Dancing is a human quality that has been given to the tree in this sentence in order to exaggerate the way that they are moving. And an example from The Outsiders. And even as the policeman's gun spit fire into the night. So, in this case, the guns are the inanimate objects who have been personified to spit fire, to imagine what they did, which is to shoot bullets. Next, we're going to go over idioms. Idioms are expressions that take on a figurative meaning when certain words are combined. For example, I'll come when pigs fly. So we know that pigs will never fly. So when a person uses this phrase, they are saying that this event or them doing something will never occur. So in this sentence, this person is saying that they will never come because pigs will never fly. And an example from The Outsiders. Unlike Ponyboy, Soda Pop never cracked a book. This sentence is saying that Soda Pop never read or opened a book, as cracking a book, which is the figurative meaning that expresses opening a book. So this idiom, cracked a book, is just saying opening or reading a book. So that was it for the Outsiders lesson. We have finally finished the Outsiders, which is very exciting. Thank you so much for watching this video.